End of the month. I think that was the big announcement. I don't know. Are you just
Are you an employee now, or are you still the head? Because I thought you were retired, but you're pulling up when you work out.
Oh, not until the end of the month. So I get out there in the dirt and I can't hear my phone. And I was having a good time. Sorry.
Mayor, you're on the record.
We're on record. Very good. Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. We're here for our regularly agendized city council meeting. Would you please roll call, Jenica?
Council President Kaiser.
Here.
Councilmember Huggins. Here. Councilmember Murray.
Here.
Councilmember O'Meara.
I'm here now.
Very good. The time is 5:43, and we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Jim Taylor's going to offer an invocation. Thank you, Jim.
With God's grace, shall we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings you put upon this nation, this state, our city. We ask you to please bless this council with wisdom and justice, to watch over our police, fire, EMTs, and especially the young people who join the military that ensure our liberties. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the laws that you sent down from Sinai, and we thank you for your Son, Jesus. We ask all these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks again, Jim. Really appreciate it. Council, we're going to move item 2 up to let's approve the agenda first. Action item A, Mr. Chairman.
Council, questions on the agenda? All right, then I move we approve the agenda posted August 11th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Now, we're going to move action item number 2 up to above information items, and we're going to swear in 2 new police officers, Jeffrey Garvey and Miguel Ruiz. And since Jeffrey's listed first, we'll start in that order, and we'll stand right here. Yes. Come on, Miguel, we're going to be both at the same time. Okay. Right arms up, please. I, Miguel Ruiz, do solemnly affirm that.
I, Miguel Ruiz, do solemnly affirm that.
And I, Jeffrey Garvey, do solemnly affirm that.
I, Jeffrey Garvey, do solemnly affirm that.
That I will honor and uphold the United States Constitution.
That I will honor and uphold the United States Constitution.
The Constitution and laws of the state of Idaho.
The Constitution and the laws of the state of Idaho.
And the laws and ordinances of the city of Middleton.
And the laws and ordinances of the city of Middleton.
I will faithfully perform duties of a Middleton police officer.
I will faithfully perform duties of a Middleton police officer.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my abilities.
I will enforce laws courteously and consistently.
I will enforce laws courteously and consistently.
And without partiality or hypocrisy.
Without partiality or hypocrisy.
And I will be an example of obeying city rules and laws.
And I be an example of obeying city rules and laws.
Obeying city rules and laws. Gentlemen, on this 16th day of August, you are officially Middleton police officers. Let me do this. Come on up, Chief.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks.
And on behalf of the Middleton Police Department, I'd like to present you with badges 1206 and 1207 respectively, and I believe Lindsay was here to pin 1207 on Officer Weeze's chest, and I will be pinning 1206 on Officer Garvey's.
Like 15 on the stupid, right?
Yeah, just be gentle. Okay. Thank you, guys.
We're gonna move to the side so you guys can get a good picture in front of the city of Middleton.
Yes, Wallace. Okay. You have a good one? Sorry? That's me. Do you want to do it down in front or around back? We're gonna let's do it down in front to save us having to move all the chairs I missed.
One down.
You guys were all looking. Thank you for your service.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, thank you.
Please resume your meeting. Thank you for allowing us to crash. Mayor, stay the rest of the
Yes, there. Yes, Carrie, they're at full staffing, but the two are still in training. So, yeah, staffing, yes.
Positions have been filled, but not everybody's working.
To raise the budget.
Okay, we're back on the record here, and yeah, if you guys want to visit outside, that would be helpful for the background noise on the record. And the first item we have is a report information item from Ms. Crofts on Ridley's parking lot, lease transactions, sales, stuff like that. What's going on there, Becky?
So Mayor and Council, thank you. We have we're gonna bring up a parcel that I would like you to look at on the screen. So it's just information tonight. This parcel right here is owned by the city. It's actually two parcels divided by the state highway. The city came across this parcel when it was working with an applicant. The applicant brought in an application to the city to put a kiosk, walk-up bank kiosk in this parking lot. And it originally started back here along this location, then it moved to a different location due to a variety of different things, traffic, different things. And it eventually ended up on this parcel planned right here. So that's when the city got a little bit more involved in the location, because it's now going to be located on a city parcel. So, and the affidavit, the affidavit from the client, they have to agree, and the city is now a party to this. So we're not necessarily opposed to that particular bank kiosk coming, but we are wanting to work with Ridley's to sell this piece of property to them. It's problematic in a couple of ways. It's been on the lease since 2007. I don't have the lease agreement in front of me. So it was leased to Ridley's back in, I believe it was 2007. It's a 25-year lease with a 25-year extension on that lease. They pay the city $1,200 a year for that lease agreement, and they are current, Wendy, they are current on their payments. Ridley's has discussed selling this piece of property. I believe there was a Starbucks that came in that was looking there. So, and this corner presents a little bit of a problem for them if they want to sell that off. So we believe it's a good time to start discussing with Ridley's, and they're agreeable. They would like to purchase the property. The agreement says they can purchase the property, that the city has deed to the property. We're just, in order to sell the property, the city would need to get an appraisal to set the value of that property. It would have to be noticed for a public hearing by resolution, is that right, council, legal counsel? And then it would go up for public auction. It's likely that Ridley's would be the only bidder on the project, but we might not. So that's just a little bit of information. We would probably likely we wouldn't sell both parcels, we would just sell this piece here. The city does have a pathway that walks through here, so our pathway from Roadside Park that crosses and then walks down through here, that pathway is there. There's some discussion about can we sell the entire piece, or do we split off that 20 feet that is where the city pathway is contained? That pathway was built with some federal dollars, so we're looking into that before we decide to proceed forward. So that is just an information item. I wanted to visit with you just to make you aware of that particular parcel and some things that we're planning on moving forward with that. So I'll stand for any comments or questions at this time.
I have one. Said a lot. It's my first time.
In as much as it's your first time, public comments are allowed at the end. You can sign up and comment then. This is just information to the council. So it's just, you can comment, but not right now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I do have one comment.
Yes, Mayor.
Becky, it's gone. Never mind.
Sorry, I was told the microphones weren't working on the live feed. Okay.
Right now, this walking path comes up and people don't cross here, people cross right there. And I just want to point that out in case the city would, I have a little bit of problem with keeping this 10-foot strip or whatever it is, 20-foot strip, because it's like a spike strip. This landowner, nor this landowner, can do anything because of a 10-foot swath through there. So as the walking path comes down and people go up here to Boise Street to continue, or they'll go down here along a sidewalk to Middleton Road and continue on the walking path. So in my mind, it doesn't make sense to keep a spike strip down the middle of that thing that will prohibit McDonald's or Ridley's or whoever wants to expand that into commercial, when there's two other ways for them to continue their walk should they want to. Right now they cross here and then they walk up there anyway. So if they walked up here and walked down, I don't see a lot of difference. But I just wanted to throw that in as part of the information in case it goes one way or the other.
What is a walk-up bank kiosk?
Think about it as it's just a kiosk, maybe about the size of, maybe that area there. It's a teller machine, so you walk in and get an ATM. It's which I don't remember which bank it is, Bank of America ATM machine.
It's just an ATM inside a building?
Yes, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Does the city own the same strip south all the way to Boise Street through the next landowner?
Yes. So this parcel here is a separate parcel that continues south. Just about to that roundabout is where I think that tract ends, right there.
Okay, Mr. O'Meara.
Mayor, Becky, you alluded to the fact that that was paved using federal dollars. Was it a grant?
There is a KN number through ITD that's associated with it, so it may have been grant funded.
So
I
it'll probably have
requested.
to be refunded.
Possibly, we need to look, there's an exhibit to the lease agreement that I'm trying to locate that wasn't attached to the instrument number. So I'm doing a little bit more investigation through ITD to see if we can find that grant agreement as well as that exhibit that's supposed to be recorded with the lease agreement. So we've got a little bit more work to do, but wanted to bring it before you so then, just so you can kind of think about it a little bit and be more familiar with it when it comes before you for an action item.
Mayor Earl?
Councilman O'Meara.
I agree with you that it is kind of a spike for development purposes, and we're already losing part of that pathway further down with another agreement. So you're going to end up with a pathway that goes to nowhere before long. It makes sense to me to try and move forward with.
We'll see if that federal
Selling that
funding
entire
issue
parcel.
is gonna be a problem. We're still, like I said, we're just making you guys aware of what's going on, and it'll be an actual action item. Someday, we'll have those questions answered.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You bet. Information item number 2 is the progress on Riverwalk Park. Ms. Cross.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, about a month or two ago, City Council approved their design group to begin the conceptual layout of the Riverwalk Park. And so I wanted to bring this before you, as this is, it's a little different from the concept plans that you saw earlier. And the reason for that is very specific. I want to just bring your attention to, it's a line that's hard to see, but if you look at this word right here, floodway. So this floodway follows this line here, that floodway means something, and it means a no rise in that area. And so a large part of this area is, it's a little bit problematic. It doesn't mean we can't do some things there, but it means we can't put structures particularly in that area. So, and the other area I wanted to bring your attention to, previously we had a large parking lot right here. These are wetlands. So when you look at something conceptually and you haven't, dug deep into this, sometimes things will change, and that's why where we are today. We've gotten some wetlands reports. We're looking at the floodway. We're looking at different things we can do down in this area, and those two things are important. So the changes, more specifically, are the parking lot was moved back here outside of that floodway line. The wetlands area is being preserved, if you will, but it will have a little wetlands boardwalk area, so more of an educational area. So you see some walkway through there, but it's not being turned into a parking lot. It's very expensive to do that. It's very wet in there right now. There is a dry piece in there, but we're also trying to make this park very natural. And a natural space for the city, so this worked really well in that area. So just a couple of points. This would be the main entrance to the park here. This area, just for orientation, is where the plaza would be. This distance here from the plaza to the park is about a quarter mile, so it's a very short walk. And there actually is a walking path connecting that today that was built by this property development here. So this brings in a roadway. We also reduced some of the roadways. The prior plan had a lot of roads, and roads are very expensive to build. So we took care to be cautious with spending, and we put a road here with a roundabout that takes you back out. This is an existing road that kind of brings you down into this area with a small parking lot here. There's parking all along this roadway and all along this roadway. This is 11 acres of grass. So when you look at manicured or landscaped area, really this is your landscaped area. This is your manicured area. 11 acres there leads down to an amphitheater here. There's 3 acres of beach here surrounding with a 25-acre pond. There's fishing opposite the play area for the residents here. Fishing docks on this back side. Parking here, of course, again, parking all the way through here. This area here was the 42 acres that was donated to the city by Steve Peel. This area here is planned to be a dog park. This designer, Greg Baer, designed in a loop here, which is really quite unique and interesting. We'll have a golf course, Frisbee golf course inside here. Kind of winds you through here.
A disc golf.
Did I say Frisbee?
Oh,
Disc.
did you say Frisbee? I missed that.
Yeah.
It's my bad.
Disc golf through here. This is a very wooded area. These residents are concerned about people utilizing their ponds. These are private ponds. This area is heavily wooded back here. We may not be able to put a fence in this area just due to the floodway, so we're looking at really keeping this really natural. Let's see what else. If you look at this this pathway leads you up to the bridge. So the big roundabout is here now, and this is the Boise Bridge that goes across north and south. We're planning a put-in area here along this area. It might come up here. It might locate here, but this is about 1.5 mile float down to the takeout here with the large parking. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this plan? If you look here, you've got the wetland boardwalk area is about 0.5 mile, 0.4 miles. You've got the disc and dog park area, that's about a 1 mile loop. I'm really straining my eyes here. This pathway here is important for the float. This is a 12-foot asphalt paved pathway that is banded by 4 feet of asphalt, and that's for emergency services, fire, police. As people float here, it's likely there will be a rescue of some point. Somebody's going to get stuck, and we're going to need to have a rescue down there. This green pathway here, divert people away from this pathway that's existed. This is a historical pathway. It's actually almost a road now. Brings people access out to the river. So they get a little bit more intimate with the river out in these areas. And then you kind of see this, we call this the amphitheater loop here. And then you've got kind of the bigger loop that walks you all the way around. So these are river access points, these red points, where people can get up and close with the river. One of the things that's this Middleton City residents haven't had, as far as I can remember, is they have not had access to this river in this type of a way. And this is one of the things that is important to the Middleton residents, is to get down there. It's always been property rights and fences and those different types of things. So looking for comments, looking for suggestions. We've got a lot of work to do. 404 permits, working with Army Corps, working with Department of Lands. A put-in area here and a takeout area will require a little bit of bank adjustment through there. It's very steep down here at this time. The gravel extraction project is still occurring, and it will occur for a little while longer. The lease does require them to reclaim back. And once we get this shape defined, they will define and build this pond back to that shape for us. So I'll stand for any comments or questions. We plan on putting this in the Middleton Gazette for folks to take a look at probably next month, and get some feedback from them as well. So any comments or questions or things you would like to see? Carrie Huggins Councilmember Huggins had a suggestion earlier.
Right, just a dog park that I've seen. So these are details that will come way down the road, but they had built it so that it was almost like a waterfall, and then you threw your dog's ball up into the waterfall, and the dog would then chase it and be jumping out there. Entertainment for hours. Absolute entertainment, because it was on a bridge and everybody would watch it, and they had to have built it because there were certain pathways that let them go up there. And so when I saw the dog park with the big pond, I'm like, yeah, you don't want just a stagnant pond out there, so if you could keep that moving, that is. And then I was thinking as you were talking about the wetlands, is it Curtis Park that has a nice, well, it used to, I mean, I haven't been there for 20 years probably. They have a boardwalk kind of down by theirs, and I'm assuming it's a similar idea, that they would have different bird boxes along it. It was pretty cool.
I think there's some fun educational things that we can
Yeah.
do in this area here and along this area here. This area is 42 acres. It's big. So know that where our property stops is right here. Just know that that's where the city's property stops. This property owner here, by development agreement, has the responsibility to build that pathway, that 12-foot pathway that connects to the cities. So that will be a connectivity point through there.
Excuse me, how are they gonna fill the pond? I assume they're gonna dig a ditch from the river to the pond and then fill it back in?
It's actually groundwater. We're putting in some test wells now, some test pits, to see what the groundwater activity is. So, that will not have any diversion from the Boise River in there. It will just be naturally, at the height that it will rise and fall with the water a little bit. But those test pits will tell us what that average height is as it fills. So it'll be natural groundwater that fills that pit, or the pond.
Well, I had something else and I lost it.
Do you know if the Gilbert Lake is just groundwater?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay. It gives me a visual.
Yeah.
And then, when we had the study on the flooding, do you remember that? It was right after the city bought the property, and they came in and said, you're gonna flood. You just gotta make sure you design with the flood. Is that concept still being used?
Absolutely. I don't know if that concept is being used, but this year I spent quite a bit of time down here, so did Mayor Rule. When the river got really high, this area right here channeled through the Rubicon Gate. If you remember what the Rubicon Gate is, remember the Rubicon Gate on the Mill Slough? The diversion project?
Yes.
Okay. It sits about, I'm going to say right about there. And so this area right through here did come through and kind of exit right there. The topography just kind of worked that way. So that's why we're working with an environmental specialist for permitting. It just depends. That might be tiled. What we don't want is a big depression or a big canal running through there, because the water gets high about 2 or 3 weeks out of the year and then it recedes. And if you were to go down there now, it was quickly flowing through there back in May, I would say May, June, but it's very, very dry today. One other point that I would like to mention about this, and that the environmentalist is going to be looking at, is right here is the Boise River. And what we would really like, and we took the park designer, and he has quite a bit of experience with this, we would really like our pathway to continue just like it does throughout the Treasure Valley underneath the bridge, so that it can connect up with this pathway that this landowner has in fact, they paved it today. So there's this pathway here extends right about to that point. So if we can, it'll take a little bit of work, but if we can get under the bridge crossing there's no need for people to pop up, hit the roundabout and cross just to go back to this connecting path. If this were a little bit bigger, I could show you how this pathway continues, but this landowner has the path paved. I don't know how far it goes, but it goes to the edge of his, what he calls phase 2, and then it turns north, and it picks up and follows this drain right here all the way through and connects back in with this one. So that creates that 5-mile loop, that creates that walking loop all the way through the plaza, the park, the most natural piece, these estate residential homes here, and right up through this commercial piece. So this becomes a very desirable walking loop that connects this area very, very well.
Councilman Murray?
Didn't we authorize the purchase of some wetland credits for this a while back?
Not this particular project, you authorized the wetlands credits for the roundabout that were right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'd be a similar type of authorization. There are some wetlands right in this area right here that we would need to purchase to make this particular plan come together. And that delineation is at Army Corps today. Army Corps has that. We're just waiting for them to finish their delineation to know exactly where those wetlands are and how much would need to be purchased.
The Army Corps is heavily involved in all of this.
To the point that it'll take a while.
Yes, it will take a while.
And that's why we really wanted to get going on this, because this is the time where you start to have these discussions, to know what you can and can't do. This landowner really wanted his pathway to be down here closer, and I don't believe they were able to make that successful. So if you go up to that roundabout, I highly recommend you take a walk here. I don't know, I got goosebumps when I walked on it, just because I can envision this over here, and it just makes me really visualize what this is gonna look like. But they couldn't get theirs closer. They tried with the Army Corps and were unable to. I think the city will be successful here on this, because this roadway, maintenance way, has existed historically for years. These little green lines might be a little bit harder.
Probably be a foot walking path as opposed to a graveled, something that a wheelchair could get on or something like that. Councilman O'Meara?
Mayor Rule, I've run across these little river paths like this in Oregon, and historically what they do there is just chip the trees and use those for the pathway.
Oh,
And it works pretty good until you get flooded, but
yeah.
the trees grow back, so there's more next year.
Yeah. We'll talk to Greg about that. Anything else for Becky? Thanks for the update, Becky. It's looking really good. Action item 1 is the consent agenda. A, consider approving minutes for City Council August 2. B, consider ratifying payroll for August 11. C, consider approving accounts payable through August 4.
Council, question on accounts payable? Pretty routine. Talking to Wendy today, we will see most likely, hopefully, within the next month, maybe next meeting, the outfit that's doing the stoplight. They haven't submitted anything in quite a while, so you're gonna have a little sticker shock when that shows up. But other than that, it's business as usual. All right, then I move we approve consent agenda items A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you. We've done item 2, so we'll move to 3, and that's consider approving my appointment of Dave Rogers to the Impact Fee Committee. We had Ms. Wilkie, April Wilkie, move out of city limits. It's a requirement to be in city limits, and so we had to there's some criteria, professionalism. Mr. Rogers deals in the real estate world some, so we've met him before. He's a very, very professional gentleman, will be a great addition. I highly recommend we appoint Dave Rogers to the Impact Fee Committee.
Council questions? All right, then I move we approve the mayor's appointment of Dave Rogers to the Impact Fee Committee.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is unanimous. Dave couldn't be here tonight. He had a conflict. We'll see if we can get him here another time. Item number 4 is to authorize my signature to execute the notice of award to enter into a contract with Knife River for a sidewalk. Mr. Jason Van Gilder.
Morning, Mayor. Or evening, Mayor, and council members. Jason Van Gilder.
Long day, huh?
Your Public Works Director, here to speak on behalf of the motion to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Knife River Corporation for the construction of the sidewalk immediately north of Middleton Heights Elementary. Connect Cemetery Road to existing sidewalk along Ninth Avenue. This project is entirely funded through state grant funds in the Safe Routes to School program. So we like grants and we like spending the money on grants. So here we are. Any questions? Any questions?
Councilman Murray?
I understand their grant funds, but I'm gonna pick up this one anyways.
Yeah.
There is a sidewalk connection directly north, on the southern perimeter of the cemetery, so why is it necessary to add another sidewalk just barely down the road?
This would connect the houses immediately northwest of the school, right to the school, and I think there's currently a gap fence, but this will.
Do you have a?
I'm getting there.
She's getting.
I mean, I don't know what all the grant would apply to, but it's possible it's used elsewhere.
Yep, the gap right there between the end of 9th Street and Cemetery Road.
You want to do it or you want me to?
Sure, go ahead.
There's Cemetery Road, there's the Heights. It won't be very long before Middleton obstructs this street to, that's not Willow Drive.
It's 9th Street.
That's 9th Street, that's Ashley Manor. I don't know why that's called Willow Drive. It shouldn't be called Willow Drive. It's 9th Street right on the street sign, so.
It's Google.
It's Google, okay. So this street will complete right there. The sidewalk's gonna be part of the street either way, so we can pay for it with a grant now and build the street, or we'd have to reapply. We can't just take the grant and go do other things. It's a spatial safety grant for schools, Councilman. So that would go right there. And then as soon as this is designed, as soon as we can get the street funded, we'll build that street. And it's very desirable by the school district to do that, because it will really enhance the school's ability to drop students off. Instead of, right now, traffic piles up here in front of Councilman Huggins' driveway and Cemetery Road, and I mean, it really piles up. So it's something that we will do sooner than later. We've talked to Superintendent Gee. He's really looking forward to us getting that street built for school purposes, and it's a safe. It really is a safety issue. Lots of ways. So that kind of
So
explains it a little better.
how far out is that road connection?
9th Street?
Yeah, timeline wise, how long until we connect that?
Oh, golly. Becky, I'm gonna say a year and a half to 3 years.
We anticipate 2025.
Now, is having a sidewalk there pre-existing gonna interfere with completing that road? Is it gonna get in the way?
Yeah, it'll come.
So it's not gonna have to get,
It's
we're
part of
gonna
it.
find out they have to tear up a part of it to put the road in? Because I can completely see that happening.
No,
It's
we have
part-
talked to the
Landowner.
about getting that driveway across there, but it's removed enough from it'll be slightly offset from the road.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but the sidewalk is part of the street design that exists right now.
That exists right now.
Yes.
There's a layout for the street and sidewalk.
Councilman Mayor?
Mayor Rule,
Yes,
there was a Safe Routes to School grant for the Cemetery Road project sidewalk, and that sidewalk ended up asphalt with a goofy curb. Not exactly what I would call a desirable access along that road.
is that the one that went up
Up
Cemetery?
the west side of Cemetery Road. There's a
I
goofy
think it's
little concrete curb,
Yeah.
and then there's asphalt sidewalk behind it.
I think it's concrete going up the hill. I live right there.
Right.
I think it's concrete going up the hill and then this subdivision turned
I'm
into.
talking about from Concord to the school.
The sidewalk's concrete. It is a goofy curve.
Okay,
With the gaps in it.
but
Yeah.
is that what we're looking at on this new roadway?
No, you're looking at a concrete sidewalk.
Concrete curb, gutter, sidewalk.
The sidewalk, the curb, there will be a small planting strip between the sidewalk and the curb when it goes.
Okay, so you got a drainage area going in there. Okay, thanks.
So if I can address your, so the Safe Routes to School project that went up South Cemetery Road started right about here, and it went all the way up to the top of the hill and connected in with the West Highlands project there. So what was happening with that, and there's a reason why that curve is there, and it is goofy. But because of the proximity to the roadway there, it was recommended by the traffic engineer that some type of a buffer, traffic buffer, albeit that goofy little curve, be put in there, because students were walking down the hill on that, and it's, even if a car bumps into it just a little bit, it's a little bit more of a diversion than a kid walking right next to that. So it keeps kids a little bit more west, and it keeps cars a little bit more to the east, so that it was a safety buffer. But I agree with you, it is, and it has brakes, and the reason why it has brakes, and it is for water to travel through. So, but that is what you're seeing there, and it is concrete. But what we were having in that particular location is we were having kids, this is an elementary school, as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, walking at the edge of pavement,
Right.
which was very dangerous.
I'm just gonna pick at this just a small bit more. I understand grants can't just be used for whatever, but there are other improvements that I know, for example, Mill Creek would like to see on our road there, on Middleton Road, some kind of lights flashing for the school crossing there, I can't even think of the word, my brain is dead.
Flashing beacons.
But things like that, which are safety improvements, which I assume would also fall into that same grant program. So I'm just saying, would this be the best use of those grant funds, or would there be more immediate concerns we could address? Because Mill Creek is an absolute disaster, and this already has a sidewalk, 400 feet north,
So
that's
to
connected
answer-
by a sidewalk?
So I don't disagree with Mill Creek needing some type of a flashing light system there. I think it'd be really helpful for students to cross there. In this particular case, those grant funds were approved for this project and are non-transferable.
All right,
Yeah.
I will stop thinking.
Now, it doesn't mean, Councilmember Murray, that we can't put that as a project for Safe Routes to Schools going forward, so absolutely.
Is that an annual grant process?
I believe those grants come around every year. They got extra funding this year, and so they funded more grants than they have in the past. I think they funded over 200. Usually they have a certain threshold they work up to, and then they fund top projects down to that number, and then the rest get kicked off. But they did get some additional funding this year.
We had the same project requested last year and they failed it.
Yeah.
This year there were more funds than we got moved up. Any other questions for Jason?
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, then I move, we authorize the mayor to execute the notice of award and enter into a contract with Knife River Corporation, Mountain West, for the construction of the City of Middleton 9th Street sidewalk extension in an amount not to exceed $98,340.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is unanimous. We'll go to action item number 5, consider approving staff recommendation of downtown redevelopment, Kinley Horn, planning outpost update of city's comprehensive plan. Roberta.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and council members. Jenica, could you flip over to my screen, please? So, as you know, a few months ago, we started with a request for qualifications, or an RFQ, to elicit some consultants. And they're not really consultants, they would actually be a team that would come in and take charge of our comprehensive plan update. And we asked for qualifications to do that. And there was a criteria that was set forth in the RFQ, and that was the majority was for past experience on similar projects, but then also the process to be employed, and then prove up that you really could fulfill that process. So we looked at those criteria. So staff, not including mayor, because he could be a decision maker, got together and we elicited the help of Chairwoman Heidel Summers from the P&Z committee to look at all the RFQ responses and then meet with us, and so she worked with us on this recommendation. So 3 folks did apply. There was the Downtown Redevelopment Services, Kimley Horn, and Planning Outpost. It's kind of like 3 firms coming together as a big team. Treasure Valley Planning, and then Planning and Facilities Management. Staff is recommending number 1, the Downtown Redevelopment Services Group. And they met the number 1 criteria that had the majority, and that was just vast experience, over 40 projects in 30 different states. And they had a lot of planning and land use processes under their belt, and comprehensive plans. But their large team also employed engineers and a lot of like IT help and creative help and landscape architect help. So they would have the ability to work with websites and surveys and map creation and that kind of thing. They're just a one-stop shop, very, very inclusive of a lot of skills. They had a good phasing plan that made a whole lot of sense. Treasure Valley Planning had a very similar phasing plan though too. And then they also had a lot of specialized services that if we were to follow up with them years from now, they could come back and fine tune some things or take on a special job here or there. So they'd be a good team for follow up. But all 3 applicants were really good, and so we just have to also mention, just so you know, when you're thinking about this, Treasure Valley Planning was just a strong second, and they are local. It was Carrie Smith, who's in the audience tonight. She is a planning and a commissioner for the Canyon County, and also it had Steve Folt, who's been in a lot of city and agencies, county agencies. And he has a really strong economic development background. So does Carrie Smith. And then they had Brent Orton, who is an engineer, and also he was Caldwell's Public Works Director. So they know this town as well as anybody else, so they would hit the pavement running, and that was really a strong suit for them. Then the 3rd one was Planning and Facilities Management, and that's Jerome Knapp. I think most people know him. I would consider him like the land use guru and professor. He's been doing it since 1969, I think, is when he really started as a young man. I don't know anybody who knows much more than him. His team was small, though, maybe just not as able to handle the websites and the surveys and the workshops and those kind of things. And so, but to circle back around, staff did agree through discussions on Downtown Redevelopment Services, Kimley Horn, and Planning Outpost is probably the superior choice, and for the reasons stated.
Council questions? Concerns? Councilwoman Huggins?
I just would like to recuse myself from this particular vote. Just got some, between Greenleaf and here, just some oddities that.
There's a professional conflict is what it sounds like you're saying.
I think if I'm the only one asking to be recused, I think it's just in the best interest of the city.
Okay.
If
All
we
right.
can still have a quorum.
I respect your history and professional approach, so we'll leave it at that.
Council questions? Then I move we approve the staff recommendation of downtown redevelopment Kimley Horn Planning Outpost to update the city's comprehensive plan.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Council President Kaiser?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Yes.
Okay. Roberta, you want to notify downtown of the action taken tonight?
I will.
Okay. Item number 6 is to consider approving ordinance 679, amending Title I, Chapter 15. This is Roberta again.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and council members. So this is the fourth time we've brought food trucks in particular to council, and at the last time, at Mayor's request, we actually had put together some language, and it was quite a few weeks ago. There was a little bit of a pause in between, and Council President Kaiser wasn't present at the time, and those that were present didn't ask me to make any changes, so I didn't change anything, but they preferred to wait for Council President Kaiser to be here, and so we just did a first reading. But after that meeting, City Attorney Douglas Waterman kindly pulled me aside and said, we really do need to change 3 things. And so I made some changes, and they were posted on the agenda based upon Mr. Waterman's request. So at this point, I can go back through everything if you'd like, since Rob Kaiser is here, or I can just tell you, I'll just first start with what Douglas brought to my attention. First of all, I highlighted, I had an inconsistency between the basis for denying a temporary license and the basis for revoking a license. At one part it said misdemeanor and the other part it said felony, and Douglas said we need to make them the same criteria so that there's no inconsistency where you revoke them and then they come back around and they could apply because I didn't have felony in there. So I changed section E, subsection C to just say revocation of the temporary license for any crime involving a felony, and then that will match up here for the standards for granting the license. Okay, so that was the first change. The second change, some council members wanted to have proof that this is at the food truck section only, that the food truck had auto insurance, general liability insurance, and workers' comp insurance. And Attorney Waterman said, if they're on a private property, that's really between the private property landowner and the food truck. We're not here to make sure everybody's following their insurance requirements. But the moment that they're in a city park or on a city lot, oh yeah, we want them to have general liability, because if they cause an accident, we want to know that they have the ability to cover any lawsuit that comes out of that. Especially with auto or even workers' compensation if one of their workers gets hurt while on our property. So I changed the language. This is for food trucks only, or trailers. When vending on city-owned property, proof of workers' compensation, general liability. And we won't require that if they're on private property.
Would this include a city street inside a neighborhood? So like when a neighborhood invites food trucks to come out, food truck parks on the street for the event, when there's a neighborhood event, does that cover that as well?
No, because this whole section wouldn't cover that at all. When we define food trucks, when you had a one-time event, like at a catering, or you came to a certain place for a one-time event, that's not food truck vending where you just come day after day and serve food. So it's not even in this whole section.
Just checking.
Yeah. So the last thing is, I had written, just from looking at food trucks and noise for generators, and some of these trucks they'll back up to a house, maybe, even on a commercial lot, will back up to a house. And so I just put in 70 decibels from things I had kind of read, that no generator should be more than 70 decibels, which is kind of talking voice level is what they said. But Douglas Waterman said that it was confusing, and so I went back and just tied it to our nuisance code, and instead wrote, there shall be no generator noise or other noise that would rise to the level of a nuisance as defined in Middleton City Code 8-1-5. So just bring it back to the nuisance code. So those are the only 3 changes that I made from the last time that you did your first reading.
Follow-up or discussion, council? Thank you, Roberta.
All right, then I move we read ordinance 679 by title only.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by Huggins. Mr. Chairman.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah, I better vote on it, huh? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Now, Mr. Chairman.
All right, ordinance 679, amending Title I, Chapter 15, Section 1-15-12 of the Middleton City Code pertaining to the general requirements for vendors, solicitors, and temporary merchant permits, and amending Title IV, Chapter 1, Section 4-1-1 of the Middleton City Code regarding building permit requirements, providing for an effective date, providing for severability, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and parts thereof in conflict herewithin. I move we waive the 3 reading rule, because this is reading number 2, and adopt ordinance number 679.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by Huggins. Roll call.
Council President Kaiser?
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Yes.
That is unanimous. Okay. Action item number 7 is to consider approving the summary of ordinance 679, amending Title I, Chapter 15.
Council questions on this? Just, you shouldn't have to print the whole
Yeah.
thing. So, all right, I move that we approve the summary, printing the summary of ordinance number 679.
Second.
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. Roll call.
Council President Kaiser?
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins?
Yes.
Councilmember Murray?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara?
Yes.
That is unanimous. Okay. Action item number 8, consider approving resolution number 485-23, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Middleton setting forth a form of ballot of the referendum occurring at the upcoming general election concerning liquor by the drink. Our legal counsel, Doug Waterman, will handle this for us.
All right, Mayor and Council. This is relatively straightforward. This agenda is opening the resolution up here. There was a referendum petition to place the question of whether or not liquor could be sold by the drink in Middleton on the ballot. Petition gatherer went and got signatures, took those to the county certified the petition, so it's going to be on the ballot. And the county has requested that the Middleton City Council set forth what the official ballot language is supposed to be. So this is a relatively straightforward issue for liquor by the drink. The Idaho code governing elections and subsequent elections on whether liquor can be sold by the drink is incredibly explicit about how that ballot language has to be. And it says that Idaho Code 23-918 says that the ballot shall say, quote, liquor of sale by the drink, comma, yes, sale liquor by the drink, comma, no. And so we determined with the county that that is gonna be an acceptable way to place it on the ballot. Normally you think you'd have either an affirmative or negative statement followed by a yes or no option at the end. This one's 2 lines, check yes here for yes, another line for no, check yes or no here for no. So we don't have a lot of control. In fact, we have no control over what the ballot says per the Idaho code, but we just need to get this over to the county so that we've told them what it should say. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. All right, then I move we approve resolution number 485-23.
Second?
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara, roll call.
Council President Kaiser.
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins.
Yes.
Councilmember Murray.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Yes.
That is unanimous. Thank you, Douglas. Thanks, council. Action item number 9 is a public hearing to consider approving a proposed budget for fiscal year 2004. Wendy Miles has this. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council. So here we are again with the same presentation that I presented at last council on August 2nd. Nothing has changed. More than half, it's been posted online, so the public can see it. I'm happy to go through it again if you like, or we can just move forward with adopting it.
Okay, moving forward, council.
Absolutely.
You got anything else at this time, Wendy?
I do not.
Okay. Anybody signed up to comment? This is a public hearing. Now, this would be the comment on this item of the agenda that would be for the proposed budget. So, any comments at this time? Oh, there is one signed up. Are you Arthur May? And you're wanting to address another subject, correct?
I would agree with stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Anybody else? All right, council, we're gonna close public testimony portion of this hearing at 6:44. And thank you, Jenica.
It's not an action item, is it?
Let's see.
Because ordinance is next.
Okay, number 10 will be the action item on this hearing. So we'll close that at 6:45 and move to the action item number 10, which is adopting the ordinance. Number 680, an ordinance of the City of Middleton, Canyon County, entitled the Annual Appropriation Ordinance. Wendy? Pretty self-explanatory, right?
It is,
Yeah.
yes.
This is what we do to finalize the budget.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, council, I move we read ordinance 680 by title only.
Second?
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. Roll call.
Council President Kaiser.
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins.
Yes.
Councilmember Murray.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Yes.
That is unanimous.
Ordinance 680 reads, an ordinance of the City of Middleton, Canyon County, Idaho, entitled the Annual Appropriation Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, appropriating $19,479,708 deemed necessary to defray all expenses and liabilities of the City of Middleton, Idaho for fiscal year 2024, and specifying the objects and purposes for which said appropriations are made, providing for a waiver of the reading rules and providing an effective date. I move we waive the 3 reading rule and adopt ordinance 680.
Second?
Motion by Kaiser, second by O'Meara. Roll call, please.
Council President Kaiser.
Yes.
Councilmember Huggins.
Yes.
Councilmember Murray.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Yes.
Thank you, council. And special thanks again, Wendy.
Thank you.
It's tough for everybody to see the hours and hours that you put in on it, as well as Ms. Crofts. And so special recognition again, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, public comments sheet, please, Jenica. Arthur May. Would
Thank
you
you, sir.
come up, please?
Oh man, I've been waiting to do this for a minute, but scheduling all this. Alright, hello council, my name is Arthur May. I'm sure it's obvious to everybody here, I'm a little bit younger. I'm hoping to bring a lot more young people with me to these next meetings, so be prepared for that. You're probably gonna hate us though, because we have a lot of different opinions. But just to start, can you pull up that one picture of the Ridley's patch?
Sure.
I feel like I picked a good meeting actually, because I have like specific knowledge about a lot of this, because I work on a food truck actually. And with that picture specifically, I don't know if it cuts out this part or not, but there's a dump site.
There's a pointer there, just don't hit anybody in the eye with it.
There's a dump site right here where people drop their trailers, and as I work on a food truck, we also stop and dump our water off of our truck at the dump site over here.
That's farther south.
It's further
We're
south.
talking
I
about
just don't want to mess
sewer.
that up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we do use that like every day, and it is helpful because not all the cities have that, which is cool to do that. On that note too, I noticed you guys took the trash cans out there.
That's right.
Maybe somebody just stole them, I don't know, but they were helpful. People were using too much trash, just bring a dumpster, I feel like. And on the food truck part, we go all over, but we have actively walked away from city events just due to the sole reason of rigmarole. Like they want us to get like permits and like provide like a lot of proof and a lot of like, extra stuff. So I would just encourage you, if you're like actually trying to recruit food trucks, to be as chill as you can, I guess. Because most private people would just be like, yeah, come here and we're good. I get there's lawsuits and stuff, but just do what you can. Why did you think Middleton was so dangerous that you need to hire 2 more police officers? That's the thing, I already knew that this was gonna be a polarizer, but I feel like we have too many.
We'll address your questions at the end.
Okay, well, that would be one of my questions.
Okay.
I feel like I should have brought like a better pen. That's all I can think of on the moment. Feel a little on the spot.
You're doing fine.
I appreciate you guys listening to me and letting me talk.
Thank you.
All right.
May I ask a question?
Thank you very much, Arthur.
May I ask a question of Mr. May?
You want to comment or you want to question?
I would actually like a question.
Hey, Arthur, would you come back up to the mic? Ms. Crofts would like to converse with you.
Please.
Is Mr. May, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm just curious, at the RV dump site, when you said that you are discharging into that particular area, can you help me understand what type of material food trucks would be discharging into that site?
Well, we have sinks on our food truck,
Sinks?
so we do a lot of dishes
Okay.
and hold 30 gallons of water.
Okay,
So it's mostly just food water.
okay.
Maybe like some food comes through it, like macaroni and stuff.
Or is there any type of a grease that, are you aware of any grease, trapped
Not
grease?
on our truck specifically. We don't have fries or anything.
Okay.
We do barbecue. Also, if you're guys looking to hire one, D&D barbecue, really good.
Okay, very good. Self-promotion there, well done.
It's not my truck, but.
No, that's important for me to know, because that does go directly into our sewer system, and sometimes
Well, people are dropping poop down, so nothing as bad as that.
grease might be a little different. Anyhow, but thank you for that. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else?
Thank you, Arthur. Does anybody want to address this question? Becky?
Chief right here.
Or Chief?
Chief, I would love to hear from you. Please do.
Chief?
Certainly.
Why did you fill those last two?
So, I wish you'd been, I'm sorry,
Iffy circumstances.
should I address it from here?
Yeah, sure, Chief.
Yeah, I wish you had been here when I gave a brilliant presentation to council,
Sure. I wish I was here too, actually.
a little late to the game, but yeah, I'll address your question. So, of those 2 officers, one's going to be a sergeant, one is a supervisor. We have 11 sworn officers, and other than me, we have 1 supervisor for the entire agency, and he works.
So he supervises over 9 people.
Correct.
You need more than that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty standard in the industry that 4 to 5 is a pretty good span of control. And so he works essentially, let's just say a 40-hour week for simple math terms. So that means that 3/4 of the week we don't have a supervisor on duty. Does that make sense? So, and literally half the days there's no supervisor for 24 hours. So, and unfortunately that a lot of times that happens at night, and that's a lot of times when we have younger officers working. So of the 11 sworn, we have 7 police officers.
Is that including the 2 from the sound?
Correct. Yeah, we were down 2 staff.
So they're 10 and 11.
That is correct.
Yeah, so I've been here just shy of a year, and we've been fully staffed for less than 1 full week of that year. So we've been running well on staff. We were down 2 positions, and we have 1 on modified duty because she just had her child. So we've been running really short all year. But essentially, of the 11 sworn, we have myself, 1 sergeant, 7 patrol officers, and that's including the 2 vacancies and the 1 who's on modified duty. So we really had 4 all year. And then 2 school resource officers who are solely assigned to the schools during the school year.
So 1 for Middleton, or middle school, and 1 for high school?
It's not quite that simple, but basically, yes. 1 does the high school and 2 elementary schools. 1 does the middle school, the academy, and 1 middle school, and 1 elementary school.
Okay.
So each of those 2 officers are assigned to 3 schools. So as it stands, we have 7 police officers working in a city of about 12,000.
Thank you so much, that does answer my question.
Okay.
Chief, how many times during the week do you have 2 officers on a shift? Because you don't fill the, well, it's okay, Arthur, you're.
Yeah, okay.
This is for.
Are we counting supervisors and school resource officers?
Active officers, however you define them.
So if we're not counting supervisors and school resource officers, the answer to your question is never.
Never, that's what I thought, so. Okay, thanks, Chief. Yeah. All right, council comments tonight? Councilman O'Meara.
Just wanted to bring the council up to speed on what was going on with our discussion earlier this week about Hillside. The developer for Phase 8, Prairie Barton Homes, is anxious to finish their gravel work and prep for concrete and the asphalt pathway alongside the canal. In doing so, they've come to us because, well, I've got sprinkler lines right in the way. And so we're gonna have to move those lines. They were concerned about moving out into what is now grass, but it's actually what we put in a drain system along the canal bank so that the entire park drains towards the canal. So when we run our sprinklers, any overwatering goes into the drain system, goes into a little drain through sand and grease trap. And that's about 8 feet in from the existing gravel pathway. So technically, after speaking with Kirby, with our engineering company, I don't see a problem. The developer doesn't see a problem, but they wanted to address it and make sure that everybody was on the same page before they turn Nampa paving loose on putting the gravel in there. Steve did request that we look into putting in some substrate structure for stiffening the road base, so we'll comply with that along the park site.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. Thanks for all you guys do too. Councilman Murray.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I changed my mind. I talked to Becky about this earlier this week or last, I don't remember. But developers do not maintain their noxious and invasive weeds until someone makes them. And I know we don't have the manpower necessarily, but you get an Amazon of invasive weeds all over this town, because why would they waste their money on doing it if nobody's gonna make them? And I'd like to see us step up our enforcement on that if we can.
I think we could ask Billy, who's kind of our code enforcement, extra time he has around the office, if he couldn't spend that time better spent patrolling some of those weeds. Not only noxious weeds, but the 4-foot tall areas that.
I've seen them as tall as some of the, I mean, they're still young pine trees, but as tall as pine trees, some of these, they're ridiculous, 6-7 feet tall.
Yeah. Well noted. I think that's productive.
You can deputize me and give me a ticket book.
Be careful. You can't tell.
Becky was weren't you, Becky?
Yeah.
Becky, weren't you deputized?
I was deputized at one point in the city, so be careful what you say.
Any other comments, council?
Mayor Rule.
Mr. Chairman.
Last week, during public comment, someone brought up the green waste program that our trash company has going on in the Boise, Marie, and Skeena, blah, 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 right? And I think it would be worth seeing if that is something that they could do out here, what the cost would be. Obviously, I don't want to increase a cost, but if we could improve a cost for lawn clippings, trees. Because right now, I don't know what everybody else does, the lines go right in the garbage. Because I ain't got another option. If I had another option, then I wouldn't be cutting up the branches and the rose bush trimmings and all that other stuff. I'd be putting it in there, and you know, if it's twice a month, once a month, I don't know what that looks like, but I'd be curious to know. And I don't know how council feels about that. I wanted to bring it up to council before we give any kind of fact-finding to city staff. So thoughts, council, on that?
I'm on board.
Yeah, I think they do it, I think Sage has a garbage cart in Boise,
Okay,
so they're doing it in Boise.
perfect.
Well, the reality is a lot of people end up just dumping their yard waste on vacant lots, so they're, you know, behind their neighborhood, so.
Yeah.
Or over their fence.
Over the fence, common problem for us.
I have to, the neighbors behind us would dump it, and so then when anybody in the neighborhood behind us started up their lawnmower, the cows would rush, thinking somebody was gonna.
Ringing the dinner bell.
Got 'em queued in, huh?
I didn't realize cows were so smart.
Oh, I have a quick comment, just, if I can get an all-inclusive playground and, a waterfall at the dog pond, I'd be thrilled.
Councilmember Huggins, the city did budget, funding in the parks budget this year for an all-inclusive playground.
It, has it, I know that you wanna use impact fees.
Correct.
Is that still in the process of getting
Yes, you will see
approved?
impact fees, that new capital improvement plan coming before you next city council meeting. I believe it's either the first or second meeting in September.
Great. Thank you very much for your
It's
work
for
on
your
that.
dog waterfall. It's noted, and we'll
I
put
love
in, we'll get with Greg Bear, and we'll have to run power back there now, which isn't a bad idea anyway. So, it's good that you brought it up now rather than 5 years when, it was too late really to get power there. Any other comments? I have just two. I would note that we got a letter from Lori Spratley, the Middleton Fireworks team, and it says, "Dear City of Middleton, we just wanted to thank you so much for your support and generosity to this year's aerial fireworks show. The show would be impossible without you. We also deeply appreciative of the support Middleton Police Department, who just left. I didn't get it read soon enough. We had a small security issue this year, and they were amazing." And that's from Lori Spratley. The other thing,
Can I make a
Councilman
comment
Huggins.
on that?
Yeah.
And I believe that the Spratleys and whoever else helps with the fireworks, they do all their training on their own. They volunteer also a ton of their time and going to training, so.
They do.
Yep.
Mayor Rule,
Councilman O'Meara.
in regards to Lori's comments, like Councilman Huggins said, they've been volunteering for a long time doing this, and I'm afraid that we're going to come to that point in the future where they're not able to continue volunteering. I know that Bo Mackey has moved out of the community. He lives in Mountain Home now, and he still comes over to help with that volunteering for the fireworks. At some point in the future, I'm afraid that it's going to become down to the city having to do that. And they put the fireworks on this year. I think it was $14,000 that they put out for that fireworks display. Yet if you go to one of the more professional performed facilities, it's $35,000 to $40,000 because they're paying for those people to do that job. And at some point in the future, we're going to have to start thinking about what are we going to do when Don and Lori can't do it anymore.
Okay, all right, well, maybe we can have that discussion and see if they're training up a new crew or not. Because that's what it'll take from them.
Yeah.
The other item is Becky and I attended the Idaho Youth Ranch grand opening. Did anybody else make it out there? It was, it's out at the old Simplot facility, and that's out on El Paso Road, and they have done a tremendous job. They probably have a dozen buildings built up there, dorms, kitchens, gymnasiums, educational facilities. It was really impressive. I had no idea what they were doing. So if you get a chance to go out there, they would love to show it to you. And who's the young lady that Springston?
Whitney Springston.
Whitney
She's-
Springston used to serve on P&Z, and you give her a call, she would love to show it to you, or somebody else out there. So very impressive and very nicely done. And any other comments?
May I make a comment, Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mayor and council, just information, Caliber Collision has broke ground at the corner of Hartley and 44. And I'd just like to bring to your attention one of the things that I think is important with their breaking ground. They're bringing with them about 18 to 22 jobs to Middleton. I don't know how many of those will be new jobs or relocated jobs, or I don't know that, but just I wanted to let you know that that is coming. Their narrative at the planning and zoning meeting stated the following: yearly salary ranges. Their site manager is about $90,000 a year. Their office support staff, there's 4 to 5 of those. They range from about $25,000 a year. They have junior shop techs, 10 to 12, that make an average of $50,000. Senior shop painters, 4 of those make they make an average of $110,000 a year for a shop painter. This is good information, and I will share this with the school district, because they may be a good site for some of our technical training that's going on up at the school for maybe some apprentices, some of our graduating seniors. I mean, those are good wages. So just wanted to report that Caliber Collision is coming. The other applicant that is coming in that corner is a Dairy Queen, and they are bringing with them, I believe Roberta said it, about 30 to 35 jobs. Those are likely not at this salary range, but they are good jobs for youth, and our youth need places to work here in Middleton. So you're going to see those. This is good. This is good for Middleton to see not just only higher end wages coming into Middleton, but jobs for kids as well.
Ms. Cross, a couple of years ago, you set a goal of 600 jobs you're going to try and bring in, or we were going to try and bring in. How far do you think you've come?
I think we're probably, and I'm actually going to do a report to council in the next couple of weeks on that, but I believe we're fairly close to 200 jobs since about 2020.
Well done, well done. All right, it is 7:05, and we will adjourn city council. Thank you all very much.
I was going to ask to talk to one of you guys in board.
Yeah,
You
you talk